Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to be giving you a review of Batman Curse of the White Knight. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent. Today we're going to be talking about Batman Curse of the White Knight, written and drawn by Sean Murphy. This is the hardcover that came out recently, and I've read all these issues digitally after the phenomenal, not debut, but phenomenal debut where everybody sat up and took notice that this was somebody to pay attention to, the Batman White Knight book. This is the deluxe edition, so it's a little bit larger. This came out also this year, but this book, White Knight, came out in 2018, and the sequel followed soon after in 2019 through the beginning. I think it was all 2019. So this has been a very, very exciting year because this book focuses on Batman, the Joker, but mostly about Batman and Azrael, who you see up in this corner. Now, if you've been following along with the channel, you know that I'm a huge Azrael fan and, Azbats fan. And so is Sean Murphy, because he weaves all of the coolest elements of this character into his own work, into this book. So I have a few props. We have the McFarlane toys over here, the Curse of the White Knight Azrael. This is him right here. He's a beautiful, beautiful piece to behold, and there's a whole video about all these guys on the channel if you want to take a look at them further. We got the Joker involved, so here's the Joker head on the McFarlane Toys Joker here with the long gun, featured also prominently in here. And then we got, the big man himself, the man we're all here to see and talk about, Batman. So, he's very cool. Highly recommend those toys if you love this series. So, and there's another one coming out, which whenever that does ship, we will be doing a video on soon. It's the Azbats version drawn by Sean Murphy that's inspired by this one, but really more of this one here. This is my favorite of all time. But that is another video for another day whenever it arrives. We will see. So, let's talk about Curse of the White Knight. I've got the book right here. I took the dust jacket off so we could flip through it and stuff like that. Here's the back cover. Here's the front cover. I also have another video on the channel that goes through all this if you want an in-depth look about the book and what it entails. So this collects Batman Curse of the White Knight 1 through 8 and the Von Freeze one-shot that Klaus Janson drew as well, that deals with who Victor Von Freeze is in this universe and, all his whole backstory, stuff like that. But what is this? Well, this is, like I said earlier, it's a sequel to White Knight. And as I was doing a video, when I was doing the overview of this book, I was speculating, if you look at the title, White Knight, and even on the sequel, it's got those little diamonds in there. And those little diamonds are Harley Quinn's, symbol or whatever. So is Harley Quinn the White Knight of this story? Yes, Harley Quinn is the White Knight of this story, and this story makes it very clear. She may not be a main character in so much as she doesn't appear as often as Batman, the Joker, or Azrael, or even Barbara Gordon, Batgirl in this book, but she is in the book, and we are dealing with the follow-up of her story from when the Joker went good and became Jack Napier in White Knight. So in this book, we find out a little later on she's pregnant with twins. She has the babies in the book in a really strange place, and we kind of use those babies as a wedge to drive the difference between Jack Napier and the Joker and these two divided personalities. But this book is all about, it's truly about who Batman is, who Azrael is, and the relationship between them. There's Harley Quinn right there in the back. Those are not her children. Those are two hyenas. She calls her babies, but she has some more. Not really a big spoiler or anything. So I'm going to try and remain spoiler-free, but it's really hard to talk about what this book is truly about without giving a little bit of information. So if you don't want it spoiled, I guess go watch another video and then come back to this one after you've read it. So what this book is truly about, like I was saying, is who Bruce Wayne is, who Batman is, and what is their relationship to Gotham City. So in White Knight, we explored Jack Napier and Joker, and how, in this version of Gotham anyway, the Batman Devastation Fund, which is the fund that fixes everything when, Batman tears through the city on a rampage hunting down criminals, is used by the elites and the wealthy in Gotham to make themselves even richer and buy cheap land and then develop on top of it and sell it at a higher price. So this book is all about the effects of that discovery, and where in White Knight, Joker had basically taken down Batman in terms of reputation by exposing this to the world and to the cities, showing them how the rich and the powerful and the elites had basically abused Gotham for many, many years while Batman was trying to do good. They were basically getting rich off Batman's back by taking advantage of the system that was set up to help repair Gotham. So we start out Curse of the White Knight. We start out Curse with Batman, Bruce Wayne, being very conflicted, very fatigued in the bare facts of what his mission has done to Gotham. So at the end of White Knight, there were some little teased about who Bruce Wayne really was and what he was going to do about it. In fact, White Knight ended with Bruce revealing his identity to Jim Gordon, and that theme of revelation, of identity, is really a big theme in Curse as well. It's really hard when you have these long titles, so we're just going to call them Curse and White Knight for the beginning. So we have Batman thinking about who he is, who Bruce Wayne is, and how much good he's done for the city, really. Because he feels conflicted because he's just been beating criminals to a pulp, thinking that was making a difference. All the while, the rich and the powerful have been actually doing what some could consider a worse harm in abusing the devastation to make themselves richer and not give anything back to the community and things like that. So we're seeing this exploration of themes, and then the Joker is here to basically muck it all up and expose the lie of the Wayne family. Not just the Batman lie that we got exposed in the first book, but the Wayne family lie that we find out in this one here inside Curse. So he recruits Jean Paul Valley, who's this old ex-Marine, into being Azrael, who is they don't really go into the church, the Order of Saint Dumas very much in this book. Like I was saying in the overview video, you really kind of have to have a cursory idea of who Azrael is before you read this book. But anyway, he puts on this armor, and he has two allies who you see on the cover here that also wear similar armor, and they go out and kind of wage a war against Batman, and then eventually wind up thinking that they've killed Batman, and that's when Jean Paul Valley in this book is actually given this mechanized batsuit that the elites have made for him because they want their own Batman to serve their own means, and it looks kind of like this. Looks awesome. I highlight it in the overview video. So Batman is basically trying to reclaim his mantle of Batman at the same time looking at how much good it's actually done for the city. So there's a bit of a reckoning in Batman's soul in terms of what Batman is, what Batman does to the city, as well as who Bruce Wayne is and how much good Bruce Wayne has done for the city. Because we come to the realization at the end of the book that Bruce Wayne, the person, the man inside the cape and cowl, has spent so much time focusing on crime and being Batman that he's neglected all of the other things he could have been doing as Bruce Wayne. So in the final pages of this book, we're kind of, not really, we don't really close it out with the after effects of here's 20 years on after the end of this book, and here's how much good Bruce Wayne actually did. It's just like a montage scene, if you will, of this is kind of a nice way to wrap it up, where Bruce Wayne gives away a lot of his wealth and stuff and decides to do it, inject good into the system in other ways as opposed to just being Batman. So it's kind of like a democratic socialist dream at the end of this book. And that's okay. There's still some, consternation about it from the media that's portrayed in this book. So they're looking at all sides of an argument as quickly as they can within 3 pages. But that's interesting. But what's most gripping about this book is really the relationship between Batman, the Joker, Azrael and the battle between them. It's really, really good. Where the first book had Alfred die, you know, in the middle of the story to kind of give Batman this little push into reconnecting with himself instead of being so mad at the Joker. This book has another character die, which makes Bruce re-examine who he is a second time in like almost a year, basically. And like the after effects of that are rippled throughout the book. In fact, it's Azrael who makes this other character die, so it's a more personal vendetta against Azrael because of his actions, rather than just this is the newest villain on the block. What's also cool about this book is I didn't realize reading it the first time when I was reading the single issues in digital, is that Azrael, I forgot about this part, not in this costume, he does it in the Batman costume that's inside. He goes into Arkham Asylum and basically wipes out the entire Rogues Gallery. So by the end of this book, this is truly like the last obstacle Batman has to defeat before he can actually retire, even though it's not the way he wanted it to be, not really the way he envisioned it, but it's just kind of something that's now thrust upon him, like you need to, you know, not you need to quit. Batman feels he needs to, and the fact that most of his villains are gone because this other guy wiped them out and did what Batman could never do, which is just tear through all of them with a sword, kind of, you know, sadly it enables him to do that. And even that part's not really examined very much. It's kind of glossed over, but the fact that, you know, Bruce never really reckons in the book with the fact that another person killed all these villains and gave him this opportunity to stop being Batman, to retire by the end of this book. So I really like this book. I really like all the different things it examines. There's some secret history about the Waynes in here that at first I thought was kind of maybe tacked on when I first read it during the single issues, but reading it all as a whole, as one story, I think Curse of the White Knight really does pull it all together. It's just, I think, reading it month to month and not rereading the last month's issue, like just that gap in between, kind of hurt the story a little bit when I first read it. But reading it all in one sitting, in one volume, I think it really holds together. And the stuff with the Waynes, who they actually are, and who Bruce actually is in terms of like family legacy and lineage, does help bring the story together and adds another little, like, you know, not a twist, but a little addition into the theme of examining who Batman is and who Bruce Wayne is and how they affect Gotham City. And the part about White Knight with Harley Quinn in here, just get turned around for her to see her on the back, really is a good thing. And if you read them together, if you read White Knight and Curse together, you know, within a couple of days or a week or two, I think you will kind of see the bigger picture that's being painted here. So there's that. So I hope they do another volume. I know that there is a Harley Quinn series coming out. I think Sean Gordon, I don't know, he's not drawing it. I can't remember if he's writing it or not. Maybe there's an assistant co-writer or something that's focusing on Harley, so I'm assuming it's going to take place after this book when she's raising her 2 kids. But I'm hopeful for a third book, because this does leave something at the end here where they bring back a character that we just, you know, they bring back the dead Robin that was discussed in White Knight, who turned out he's not really dead. So we're going to find out what happens to him in that way. Hopefully there's a third book. The whole Black Label experiment is kind of up in the air at DC right now. They fired the editor when they had their massive layoffs earlier during the coronavirus pandemic. So hopefully someone there sees how well these are selling and how much good reviews are getting, how well the toys are selling. They look beautiful. And goes, we need more of that, because that's something that Brent definitely needs in his life, is more of Sean Murphy's White Knight universe. So that is that. Highly recommend you read it. If you loved White Knight, definitely check it out. If you love 90s Batman comics with Azrael and Azbats, definitely check it out. And if you need more convincing about the art and stuff, check out the overview video. It'll be here linked at the end, and it's probably been in the things above, and a link down below as well. So thank you guys for watching. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. It helps the channel grow. We will see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.